So how do you become Wiccan? Hi, I'm Sandra from mysterywitchschool.com, and if you want to walk the Wiccan or witchcraft path without the overwhelm of not knowing where to start and the fear of getting it all wrong, then hit the subscribe button below so that you don't miss anything. In this video, I just want to give you a quick rundown about how to become a Wiccan. It's not that difficult to become Wiccan these days. You don't necessarily need a coven to become one. That was the case some time ago, but now you can be a solitary Wiccan. And the difference between being a Wiccan as opposed to just being a traditional witch is really to do with the subject of Wicca being a religion and having a bit more of a structure to it than traditional witchcraft does. Wiccans practice witchcraft, and to a large extent we practice traditional witchcraft within a Wiccan structure or paradigm, so to speak. So it's whereas witchcraft is more about the practical side of things and being able to use magic to be able to make life easier for you, and working with spirits, working with sympathetic magic, and working with nature and the elements. Wicca itself is a little bit more to do with the theurgy or aspect of occultism, where you are not only wanting to use magic and work with the elements and the spirits of nature, but you're also wanting to develop yourself at the same time. So there's a lot of self-inquiry about who you are and who you want to be. You know, the you who you are now, is that really the you know you could be? Because in our culture, as in all cultures, we have been programmed or conditioned to be a certain type of person, to fit in with our tribe, to fit in with our family, to fit in with the culture, and to fit into the religion that we were brought up in, if we were brought up in one. And often that conflicts with who we really are inside and what we actually came here to do as our purpose. So being in that spiritual or more of a mystical sense of self-inquiry about who am I, how do I connect more with my divine self and with the divine and discover my purpose and really live my purpose in life, is more of a theistic situation or question than doing magic is. Magic will certainly help you in your everyday life and is a big part of the Wiccan tradition. The self-inquiry and the shadow work and working on all of those things about ourselves that we want to change is a part of doing that Wiccan work as well. So how do you become a Wiccan? Well, after you've done all your research and you discover that this is like a coming home feeling, I felt it was a coming home. So when I came upon it, when I read my first book on witchcraft, on Wicca, it was like a coming home. I felt like I was home. So it's a homey feeling. It's like I've come home to myself. I've come home to who I really am. And it's like you've never necessarily had that feeling before about any other religion or tradition. Even if you've got an interest in other religions or traditions, you may not have had that feeling of coming home. Once you've got that feeling of coming home, then it's a matter of doing your research and finding out more about it. What I did was I started looking for a coven, and it took me about 18 months to find one, because they can be very difficult to find, and there's not necessarily that many of them, and some of them aren't open to new members, some of them are. But it was really about looking for other people of like mind, and also to learn from somebody as opposed to learning from the books. Now, back in the 90s when I started, there wasn't the internet, and we only had bookshops, and there wasn't that many books, and it was much harder to find information than it is today, because we didn't have the internet, we didn't have Google. It's a lot easier to find that information, but what I'm hearing from people is that they're very overwhelmed with all of the information that is out there. So once you know it's the path that you want to walk on, you feel that sense of coming home, it's simply a matter of starting somewhere. And starting somewhere is about getting familiar with the practices. So it's understanding the seasonal Sabbats, the 8 of them, and it's understanding the moon cycles and working with the moon, connecting with nature, and starting to have a respect for nature. So doing your recycling and making sure that you're not polluting the earth unnecessarily, and doing all of those things to contribute to helping the planet heal herself from all the destruction that we've caused it, and connecting with all of the natural aspects. So it's connecting with having that relationship with the animals and the plants, and having a very harmonious relationship with all of nature's beings, and recognizing that they are all sacred, they are all divine, they are all manifestations of this divine energy, and that we humans are really just custodians of this planet. We're meant to help look after it. We're not meant to rape and pillage it like we have been. So it's really about us going back into our job of working one with everything. And becoming Wiccan itself is like a decision that you make. And when you make that decision, it's really important to do some kind of self-dedication rite, or some sort of self-initiation to begin with, so that you are actually stating to the gods and goddesses, to the universe, that this is the path that you feel you want to walk. This is the path that you feel at home with and coming home to, and to just say a dedication. You can find dedications in various books. I know that Scott Cunningham has some in his books, Raymond Buckland in his books. There's obviously newer books that have been published since then. They were the ones I began with way back. So that was way back in the 90s. So there's heaps more, but Google self-dedication or self-initiation and see what you come up with. And you piece together some of that for yourself. The things that are important to note is that you're dedicating yourself to that spiritual path. And I mean spiritual path, I'm not just talking about magic and practicalities. I'm talking about the spiritual development of you becoming you, and you being who you truly are, and rediscovering who you truly are underneath all of those layers of persona and programming and ego that you may have blocking you from expressing who you truly are. That's really the first place to start, is with that self-dedication and that acknowledgement to yourself more than anything. The divine, the gods and goddesses don't need your worship. They don't need your dedication. It's us that need it. We're the ones who need that. So we're the ones who need to make that commitment. Once you've done that, start doing a daily practice. Start connecting. If that's the only thing you do, start doing a daily practice where you are starting to work on yourself and connecting to the deities. If you want help with the daily practice, I have a free, not a free, actually, it's $9.99 Australian. It's the ultimate guide to starting a Wiccan practice that works. It's a 5-day course in setting up a very basic daily practice, which is a really good place to start. And over time you can build on that and change it and upgrade it, of course, as you develop as a witch, as a Wiccan. Once you've done your dedication and you've set up your daily practice, then it's just a matter of learning, finding people to learn from. And that's another course that I have. It's a new course. It's a 12-month membership program, so you can start it at any time, which takes you from the very basics to the end of the first degree of Wiccan training in that 12-month period. If you want to check that out, the details are below this video, along with the details to my ultimate guide to starting a Wiccan practice that works as well. It just helps you know where to start, and having somebody to guide you, whether you do my course or you do something else, having somebody to help you, having someone to guide you is really important. There's only so much you can learn from books, and I know from what I've heard from people, even if the book sets out a course, sticking to that course, understanding it because you don't have anybody there answering your questions, is really, really hard. And I know myself, I don't stick to courses in books either. I find I prefer to pay somebody to actually teach me what I need to learn, because it's so much easier to have somebody giving me the lessons every month or every fortnight or whenever it is, and then I can just get down and do them. And if I need to ask questions, I can. And that's the hardest thing. Asking questions, you need to have people that you can ask questions toward, somebody who's trusted, somebody that you know has been on the path for a while and can help answer your questions. So that's how you become Wiccan. It's a coming home. You do your research, you find somebody or a number of people who can help you, and you set up a daily practice and you start living your life as a witch, as a Wiccan. You do your dedication to the path. You know you're walking a spiritual path, so this is a path where you're discovering rediscovering who you really are under all of those layers of conditioning, and you get to practice magic to help you in your life as well. And that's the Wiccan path. If you like this video, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget that if you are looking for some Wiccan training, I have been on the path for 28 years, and I'm also very focused on doing that inner work, that deep dive self-work within the magical paradigm. Just go to the links below this video and check that out. I'm Sandra from mysterywitchschool.com, and I will see you on the next video. Blessed be.